And welcome everybody here for the Doublemint Cup Series round of Dubai. Here we are outside the US here yet again. I Dutta and Chris Dodd will be leading us down to the green, and there it is. Green flag is out. We are underway here in Dubai. And already into the first corner they go. I Dutta with a great start over Dylan Young and the rest of the pack here as they scatter themselves together. Dylan Young able to get second. Andy Thomas with a great start to third, and J Gardner up to P4 there. As you see there already, side by side for position there, Chris Dodd, Richard Johnson, all battling for the all-important 5th position here. Top 5 is going to be rather tight here in this race here at the start. And already you see they're going to get aggressive here. And there goes the 18, Gabe Williams in the wall. And he's going to spin right in front of the field. And the 11 of Pat Johnson is upside down. The caution is out after a huge crash here at Dubai. Lots of damaged cars involved. Andre NASCAR, Sonia Baldwin, Charles Sanford, Josh Sekui, Zorlin, Rodriguez, Reigns. There is PJ Williams involved there. Mike Hawk involved there as they're going to be racing back down towards the line. Huge damage for JT Bryant here. I Dutta holding on to the lead. J Gardner about to take third away from Andy Thomas there. And here they come. They take the caution flag here in a massive crash. Takes out a lot of contenders in the early going here at Dubai. A terrible crash on the opening lap. And this is out. They were actually getting themselves gathered around. Luis Hernandez turns the 18 into the wall. Pat Johnson just trying to get on the brakes here. Nothing he can really do. He hits the 18. Charles Sanford nowhere to go. Jonathan Zorn, there you see 3 of the Gibbs cars get swept up in the accident there. As everybody else, the track is blocked from there and nobody can really do a thing there. You see Zachary Fitzwater actually squeezing through the wreck. He started last on the grid there, and Kyle Matthews zooming on by as well. And really, that's all you can really describe that wreck. It was just a massive multi-car pileup that took out a lot of the contenders near the mid-pack to back half range. And certainly not going to help those high up in the point standings here at the end of this round. And the pace car is off. I Dutta will lead us down to the green yet again. Green flag is back out. Richard Johnson now looking underneath for the 4th position there underneath Andy Thomas. And Johnson's trying to get on the charge here. He's going to try and go around J Gardner for third here. Can he do it? No, it will not work this time around. J Gardner defending his line, but Richard Johnson doing a fantastic job. One of the few road course rings of the series as well. Richard Johnson is a Sunday Cup Series champion, a 3-time to be exact from what I recall. Richard Johnson's 2-time, 2 or 3-time champion. They're doing a great job. Richard Johnson very strong here. Drives it a bit wide there. 3 wide action there. Luis Hernandez, William Brock, and Nick Gunther are going to be battling it out for position here. And Luis Hernandez, will he be able to get the advantage from the Acme Chevrolet? And already some controversy with him, and the 18. Gabe Williams certainly not happy on the radio from the racing of the 33 car there. And Hernandez will be able to try and take the spot away. So just like that, 2 spots are gained for Luis Hernandez. He goes up to the 8th spot here. And a battle for third is on between Gardner and Johnson yet again with Dodd and Thomas. Excuse me for that. The mucus kind of kicking into the my throat there. But Dylan Young and I Dutta continue to be your top 2 here. Dutta still leading. Young is right there, looking underneath the 32. Not quite going to work that time around. Richard Johnson still defending the 3rd spot away from J Gardner and Chris Dodd. Then you got Seth Cole running inside the top 10 there, running in the 7th spot. Hernandez, Gunther, and Jesse Turner now making his way inside the top 10. He's really trying to get a march on. The races are running out in terms of the regular season, so they need to get a win ASAP if they want to get themselves in the chase. William Duncan trying to get on the charge here, looking underneath Betty Johnson for position. William Duncan's been rather quiet this regular season. He's been close to winning several times today, so William Duncan's going to be one of the guys to look out for and maybe get inside the top 10 near the end of this one. I feel he might have a good chance of winning today, if not just another good points finish for that team. As for Ian Dutta, he's way far down in the point standings. He needs to get a move on here. Dylan Young sits a bit in the top 20 in the point standings, so Dylan Young also trying to get a good point stay on the line, maybe even a win today. Young's been also one of the few contenders that has been close to winning some races this season, but hasn't really quite wrapped it up to really get that first W. But again, he's looking underneath Ian Dutta this time around. Dutta drives it a bit wide. Young has the run there, but he decides to back off, knowing better. As Seth Cole still staying in that 7th position, really quiet for him. Will Goss now trying to get on the charge underneath Nick Gunther and Jesse Turner. And there you see Duncan freeze. Tommy Turbo, the SAR winner, trying to really keep his success back up on the radar. The 95 did win a race last season, and they're looking for a win this season. They won this season, but they're now in the chase this time around, so they don't really have to worry too much. Couple drivers on the move here. Zachary Fitzwater has been on the charge here. He started dead last in the race there. And, well, because of that, he's moved up because of that wreck, he's moved up to the mid-pack range. So, Fitzwater's going to have to do something, as well as the same thing with Jeffrey Finguy and maybe a couple of others here. They're actually running into the back for road course ringers, so they're going to probably try and do something maybe with pit strategy or so, because they're going to have to pit either once or twice here. They could make it a possible one-stop race depending on the fuel window here, and what around that might be is around 12 to 14 laps of gas with the 2x pit frequency there. And Seth Cole getting a bit of sidetracked there, using a bit of a slingshot maneuver, trying to get around Andy Thomas, and Cole does it. He gets up to the 6th spot there. Meanwhile, the battle for the 10th position is still on, and there you see the Roush cars of Turner and Duncan trying to work together to try and get around the H. Scott car of Will Goss. Vince Freeze, the 2-time winner of the series here so far this season, he's running not too bad right now. He's running in 13th, so not the best run for the 31 team, but really just another good solid top 15 run will really help them in the point standings at most here. No matter what, they're going to be locked in, so no matter where Freeze finishes, it's not going to matter. Kev Shear's been one of the more consistent replacement drivers of the series here. Every time we've had a sub-driver in the 41, they've probably been really fast throughout most of the season here. They haven't really found much speed in that Haas machine, the Monster Energy Haas machine there as well. So Dylan Schwallenberg's been struggling ever since that win at Watkins Glen. He hasn't really found much ever since, so he's trying to bring up some points as well. I believe they also started near the back of the pack, and due to avoiding that accident, they're up in the mid-pack range as well. So keep an eye out maybe on those drivers. They might do something with the pit strategy. And yet again, Nick Gunther and Jesse Turner are going to be battling it out here for the 9th spot. Will Goss sitting right behind them in the 11th position. Goss has not really had the best season so far, but he's doing fine today. He's running a bit outside the top 10, like I mentioned. He's trying to get himself up in there, maybe try and find a win or just get some good finishes due to experience. So Goss maybe a really good dark horse to win maybe today. If not, just see him maybe get in the top 20 at the end of this one. It's really what the H. Scott team really needs. Ryder Barnes in the 46th and rather struggling all season. She's running inside the top 30, but not really the best of runs they've wanted. Duncan looking inside of William Goss there for position. The 6 had a massive run there. The Advocare machine has been looking fast on the radar. They had to shut doors to that 6 team last season, unfortunately, but they brought it back today. Brought it back this season to see how well they could do. And so far with William Duncan on the wheel here, he's done a fantastic job. Remember, Johnny Gardner drove the 6 last season. He's running in the 4th spot. He already has a win on his shoulder, so definitely Johnny Gardner's proved his worth here at Team Penske. Same thing with Dylan Young, despite not having a win. Dylan Young is very much just as good as Johnny Gardner. Those two are pretty much a good duo for Team Penske as well. Don't forget the 12 JT Bryant. He has been experienced there, made it to the chase last season, but they're not in this race because they wrecked out early. So JT Bryant trying to repeat that success from last season, but so far hasn't really been the good case for him. as Duncan finally does get around Will Goss here for the 10th spot, or defends him to be exact. He did beat Goss across the line. Nick Gunter, the Atlanta winner, hasn't really found much either, but he's also a bit of a road course ringer himself. Very much experienced in using some street cars, the Le Mans cars, like the 787B. But very much he could be a good road course racer if you see him maybe in the Trans Am series or such. So Nick Gunter certainly trying to bring this front row motorsports car into maybe a top 10 finish, top 5 finish at most. Maybe that's a maximum goal for Nick Gunter. The minimum is trying to just get some good points today. Chris Dodd, the pole sitter, has been running inside the top 10 all day. That's really all that 88 team really needs there. As there you see a battle there. Seth Cole looked underneath Johnny Gardner. Gardner made a big mistake there. Drove the corner wide, that second corner wide. And Chris Dodd's going to try and assist the 80 to the Liberty University Ford to get that 4th spot away. Seth Cole looking very strong in the radar here this season. Won the Las Vegas race, so Seth Cole's not really that bad here at this track here. But he's definitely one of the more consistent drivers when you see him in intermediate racetracks, as Chris Dunn looks like he's going to try and make it 3 wide for position here. He does, but Johnny Gardner's going to defend his line rather well. The Pennzoil Platinum machine looking strong in the radar, not as fast as the leaders, but very much a good top 10 race car here. Certainly a top 5 here today. Back up front though, Ian Dutta and Dylan Young are still fender to fender from each other here. Rather closing in each other, running about the same laps, so they're about even with their race cars here. Young looking, he outbrakes Dutta just a bit there. Had a bit of a harder braking zone, but didn't quite get the proper exit that he needed. So Ian Dutta is still able to lead the lap, but here comes Dylan Young. With the full head of steam, the Rusty Wallace Retro running in that 2nd spot. They've definitely improved their program this season. Here he comes down the inside of Ian Dutta for position. Can he take the lead? And yes, he does. Dylan Young to P1 at last here. As we are about to reach almost the halfway point. We still have plenty of laps to go before that happens. But Dylan Young up to the lead here. Richard Johnson still sitting in that 3rd spot. The Wood Brothers machine has been rather quiet all race here. Richard Johnson in the 3rd place. He is, like I said, a road course ringer. Battle for 4th. Seth Cole and Johnny Gardner here. Gardner trying to hold the outside line. Cole on the inside. Can't quite make it work there. And, well, Seth Cole gets the spot away from Johnny Gardner there. Luis Hernandez sitting in that 7th spot. Quiet run for him after contact with the 18 there. He's been rather quiet on the radio ever since that. And there you see Will Goss on the charge here. Underneath Annie Thomas, William Duncan right behind teammate Jesse Turner. Both of them are rather experienced here. Turner made the chase. Got 3 wins, I believe, last season. So Turner's one of the more experienced drivers, but hasn't had the luck this season that he's really needed to get himself into the good position here in the point standings or even get a win. So he's been close several times this season. Will he get one today? Or just get some good solid points here on the line? That's really what they need to get at most. Cody Llamas has been rather high up in the point standings, the winner at Boston. Hasn't really done much. Hendrick has really done a rather fantastic job, and the 5 car hasn't really gotten in victory lane quite yet. But Cody Llamas has been also one of the few quiet drivers in the field here to really get some good points. He's never really up front always, but he's always there at the end when you need him. So Cody Llamas is a very good driver at really picking up on the attrition there and just getting some good old track position when you need it at the end. Zachary Fitzwater running in 24th at the moment here. Remember, like I said, he started dead last on the grid, so he's just trying to get some points. He's certainly one of the bigger movers of the race here, so Zachary Fitzwater showing that road course experience with the wreck avoidances as well as just playing experience with braking, turning, and even just conserving his tires here in this run. Hasn't really had much luck with his car today. They haven't found much speed in the RPM car. And there you see he's getting reeled in by Angel Navarro and Jeremy Jones there. Hasn't really, Fitzwater kind of struggling with the race car. So they might do something maybe when they come into pit lane. So maybe expect them in the latter half to do something. And it looks like our cycle of green flag pit stops are about to begin here. Ian Dutta, certainly one of the few to lead him down. Seth Cole, Annie Thomas. as well as Bill Gunther there in the back. You saw that 34 dockside machine there. Dutta taking looks like 4 tires on the 32. He said his car has been rather good on the radio, but not as fast as Dylan Young. But certainly one of the drivers to look out for is Ian Dutta, having a good shot at winning today. As he comes out of pit lane, just finds Seth Cole with a good pit stop there. And it's their job now to chase down the rest of the field here that will be pitting the next time around, or maybe even another lap or so. But now the question is for Dutta and the others is the amount of gas they can withhold for their race car. As for Dylan Young, though, here he comes down pit lane. Richard Johnson is going to follow, who will stay out for another lap. William Duncan will be able to stay out for another lap, so they probably stretch some fuel here and make it a one-stop race at most. So I think this could be the winning strategy if William Duncan can pull it off. Right now they're reaching lap 14. Who else stays out? J Emery, Tommy Turbo, as well as J Schwallenberg, J Finguy, Fitzwater, Jack James, and Eric Rodriguez will be staying out for an extra lap to try and make it a possible one-stop race. And with the advantage of that is that they will have fresher tires in the later run here. So this could be important for William Duncan and those other drivers there. They could get easily a top 10 finish now because of staying out an extra lap. You add 14 and 14 up, they will get 28, meaning they will be one lap good to the finish. So again, this could be a one-stop race for William Duncan and the others. So I think this is a very clever call from Duncan's crew chief there, and if they win this race, you gotta applaud them for the fuel strategy game they played here, as well as the others that are staying out on the racetrack. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead once the cycle's around will be on between Dylan Young and Ian Dutta again. Ian Dutta has reeled in, so they about had even stops that time around. And here comes Ian Dutta on the inside. He's actually had a bit of more warmer tires, but this is the result of putting some wear into him. So Ian Dutta looking on the inside of Dylan Young for the race lead. Young will be on fresher tires the next time around here. And Dutta takes the lead away as here comes the rest of the leaders coming in. Like I said, I mentioned that battle for the lead there as when they cycle back out. Looks like they're all going to go for the 4-tire stop as well as some cans of gas, maybe 2 cans at most. And let's see who gets out first. There you see Dutta and Young in the background there. As Fitzwater comes out, there is Duncan. Good stop by Zachary Fitzwater. Holy moly. That's one of the better stops they've had. J Emery there, J Schwallenberg, Tommy Turbo coming out, and Fitzwater with an excellent stop there on the 43. They did a good job there. And they're going to be side by side with Turbo. Turbo decides to back off just a bit there, but they're still going to be side by side. As there you see the rest of the pack there. And William Duncan will be in front of Andy Thomas and Luis Hernandez. So this is really good on the 6's pit stop here. So they gained a lot of time because of that. And it did pay off for Duncan, as Hernandez is going to try and look low underneath the 6 there. Remember, they got a bit of wear in their tires, so they're been passing for a bit. But once they get into a longer run, William Duncan will be able to reel them all in the latter half. Jesse Turner also headed there. If you're wondering, there's J Finguy with teammate Kev Shear not too far behind. J Emery is also there as well. So pay attention to those drivers that cycled out. There's Zachary Fitzwater. He's gained a lot of position because of that. So clever call from the 43 team. They're looking forward, both the RPM cars, with a great call for both their cars today. So they're looking forward to getting some good points finishes today here. Fitzwater is going to be on those fresher tires. Same thing with J Emery here, as Ian Dutta is going to try and pull away from Dylan Young. Richard Johnson still sitting in third. Really an indifferent day for Richard Johnson himself, but Seth Cole has reeled in Richard Johnson's parade here. Johnson has been on a bit of an island throughout most of this running here. As there you see Kev Shear looking underneath J Finguy for position here. Can he get it? Yes, he does. Finguy backs off. Fitzwater's right on the quarter panel of the 14 there. And Finguy puts the block on Fitzwater there. Betty Johnson still sitting right there. The BK racing car has been rather strong. And Jeremy Jones, the well-known driver of the truck series, getting a lot of victories in that 88 Thor Sport machine. Running a bit inside the top 20 here, running in 19th. So, really quiet run for him. Joey Murphy's been struggling with his race car all day. Angel Navarro probably will cycle up to 20th, knowing him. Oh, we'll have to wait and see there. But right now, I Dutta leading the way over Dylan Young, Richard Johnson there. You'll see the rest of the field. Johnny Gardner there, Luis Hernandez, Thomas, Duncan. And there you see Chris Dodd. Oh, we've got issues with the 80 there. So some problems on the track for Seth Cole. He looks like he's lost some straightaway speed here. And Seth Cole coming down pit lane. Problems for the 80, and this is going to be huge for them in the point standings. Seth Cole having some mechanical issues to his race car, and a tough break for them, as they are going to be 3 wide for position in the back here. Near the mid-pack range, Jeffrey Finguy backs off again. I think he knows he has better tires than them, so they're going to wait and see whether they can pass them or not. Fitzwater in the same boat, but he's looking underneath Jeffrey Finguy. That's going to be the battle for them in terms of the pit window. So Fitzwater takes a spot away from Jeffrey Finguy there, as Nick Gunther and Kev Shear are just quietly running themselves in position. William Duncan now getting around Annie Thomas, and he's trying to hold on to 6th place right now. As there you see Zachary Fitzwater's bump drafting the 41 there, trying to get around Nick Gunther there, and he hasn't really been able to do much there. Fitzwater's just waiting to make a move. Down to the bottom of the track, here they come into the massive right-hander there. Fitzwater looking underneath the 41, Kev Shear defends his line. And here he comes, Fitzwater down the inside. Can he do it? He's going to really break hard into this corner here. This is where you need to outbrake somebody. He does. Slides up the track. A bit of contact made between the 43 and the 41, sending Shear up the hill. And Fitzwater is going to try and get the spot, but Shear's going to fight back. Here down the inside into turn number 1. Fitzwater brakes, and Shear brakes as well. Here they come. A little bit of a helicopter cam there. Can't really get the spot back, but Shear gets it done. Nick Gunther's going to fight back. And Fitzwater loses 2 spots again. Just like that. Kyle Matthews started also near the rear end of the field here. He's running solidly up there as well. Annie Thomas now getting challenged by Chris Dodd there. Duncan gets around Luis Hernandez for the 5th spot. And Chris Dodd just looking for an opportunity to get around that 23. Thomas has done a good job there. Didn't really have the best run in the Xfinity Series there, and well, she's just trying to really get a better run here in the Cup Series today for BK Racing, certainly outperforming that equipment than it should be. So Andy Thomas not doing a bad job, but for Dylan Young and Ian Dutta, like I've talked about, these two have been close together. They've been inseparable here at Dubai. Richard Johnson, like I said, has been on his own little island. Duncan is trying to reel in now Johnny Gardner. That's his next target, and it looks like the tires are going to be kicking in this time around for the 6 Advocare machine. And he ran the fastest lap of the race with a 1:18.817. So that's definitely a showcase of the after effects of tire wear, as well as the wearability of tires here. William Duncan certainly showcasing that, and he knows he's got a good car that could contend for a win based upon field strategy here at Dubai. Johnny Gardner now getting hounded by the 6 there. Duncan is just extremely fast. They made some proper adjustments there, and with the help of a few laps better tires, that's really helped the case of William Duncan there. So William Duncan has been waiting for that first victory all season, high up in the points standings, rather consistent. Whether they could make it or not, depending on how many different winners they get, but even just getting a win will just help their case no matter what. As Duncan has closed in on Gardner yet again, he is just waiting to make a move on the 22 at most, because he knows he could have a better car, as he's going to dive it in rather hard. He's trying to make Johnny Gardner make a mistake there, couldn't quite make it work, as he's going to have to wait for an opportunity to pounce on him, as Dylan Schwallenberg is now trying to get around William Brock for position there. Those two have been going at it. That's for 23rd, so Dylan Schwallenberg taking it away from Brock. Brock's going to try and fight back. Brock started pretty high up in the grid and hasn't really had much speed ever since then. So the 7 car definitely struggling with his Tommy Baldwin car there as he shoves Dylan Schwallenberg wide off the racetrack there. As they're going to have to try and work themselves out. And Duncan does get around J Gardner for 4th there. Definitely one of the better comeback stories we've seen today here. The Advocare machine just strong on the radar here. So I think a lot of the drivers are saying that he's running a 119.2, so way faster than the leaders there, but lap traffic's in the way, and Dylan Young stuck behind the 3 of Mike Hawk there as I Dutta is going to try and pull away from that 2 car there. As there you see Dylan Young just kind of struggling with the race car, just a tad there, hasn't really been able to do much, and he comes down to the inside line and passes the 3 at last. And Richard Johnson still staying in 3rd there. J Gardner now behind William Duncan for 4th there. As here comes Dodd underneath Annie Thomas. He's going to try and take 7th away from the 23, and he does. Dodd to the point. Thomas fights back again. You see that outside momentum kicking in there off the last corner, and it really is really important when you're trying to defend. This is really good when you're in a defensive position, and Thomas fights back. He gets the spot, but Dodd gets the run out yet again. The outside momentum just kicks in at so many corners at this racetrack here, so you really need to dive bomb the corner either a lot, or you just need to outbrake them or wait for them to make a really bad mistake to get that spot away, or just find a spot where a high-speed corner where you can easily pass them. As Chris Dodd's just trying to get around Annie Thomas. Thomas does drive the corner wide, so Dodd finally takes the spot away. As for J Emery, she's also on pusher tires, like in the similar strategy of William Duncan. She's trying to reel in Jesse Turner for position here, and that 44 machine has been rather stronger on the radar as well, so running the 5th fastest lap here with a 119 flat there, so she's trying to get around Jesse Turner for the 9th position here. Looking on the outside this time around, J Emery using the outside run here. Here she comes underneath outside of the 17. Here they come into the last corner and hard braking zone here. Turner's going to try and fight back. He goes up the hill. Emery goes up the hill as well. Here she comes down the straightaway. And definitely you can see the straightaway speed kicking into the 44, and a great pass. J Emery up to P9, and that's probably one of the better overtakes I've seen in the Doublemint Cup Series at a road course, so that's definitely an impressive overtake. And J Emery that's a really fast car. Fords have been showing a lot more speed this season here, with themselves in victory lane as well as the Chevy camp here. But William Duncan continuing to clock down faster laps than the leaders here, as the laps are winding down with 6 laps to go. As there you see Dylan Schwallenberg trying to get around Tommy Turbo. This is for, again, the 23rd spot. Dylan Schwallenberg's been running around that position for most of the race, so we'll have to wait and see where the pit strategy window kicks in here. Zachary Fitzwater's been, again, the biggest move of the race. Started 42nd, now up to 13th. So he's certainly done a great job there with recovering, as well as a good pit stop. Has really put them in a good position here to get a good top 10 finish because of when they pitted, which is the same cycle again as William Duncan. Here comes Emery again for making another move, this time underneath Annie Thomas. Mike Hawk in the way there, and here they come. They both split the 3 car, and the women of the Doublemint Cup Series surely representing the sport well for the female demographic, as they are both battling for position. J Emery fighting strong on that outside line, Turner waiting on the inside line, trying to catch both of them. And Emery still looking, as there you see Thomas fighting back on the inside line, but can't quite do it. As J Emery's going to try and hold on for the position, and she does. She takes it away from Annie Thomas. Another great pass from the 44 there. So that 44 car has been on a hot streak there in terms of overtaking, making probably one of the best overtakes this season here in the Doublemint Cup Series. Meanwhile, the lead is going to be heated up between Dutta and Young yet again. Those two have been bumper to bumper. Young has closed in a bit more on Dutta this time around by 0.22. And let's see where they come into the first corner. Young drives it a bit off the track there, so Dutta's going to get some good breathing space. As for Richard Johnson, William Duncan has reeled in the 21 here. At last, he again clocking up those faster lap times by a second over Richard Johnson. Kyle Matthews now looking on the inside of Goss, but the lines are going to intersect and invert here. Goss in the Aaron's Dream Machine has done a fantastic job for H. Scott. Has really kind of outperformed that equipment, but hasn't had the best of luck either. As he holds on from the hard-charging Kyle Matthews, Zachary Fitzwater now trying to get around lap car of Mike Huck there. Also, the Rockingham UK winner hasn't really found much ever since then. If you want to make it the chase as a replacement driver, you need to pass somebody in that's running full time. That's actually quite a feat there, so you have to be scary consistent in order for that to happen. It is possible, but it's rather hard to do it. And Dutta coming down pit lane. Looks like they're going for the two-stop here, hoping that Duncan and the others run out. They did tell the 32 that the 6 and the others are staying out extra laps in order to make it a one-stop race. So Dutta, they're coming in. Obviously, they know they can't make it, so they're going to go for a two-stop strategy here. Probably going for the 4 tires as well as some chunks of gas here, so they can try and really run the wheels off that 32 car in order to catch the 6 and the others, but I don't know if that might be it. Dylan Young holding on to the lead over Richard Johnson and William Duncan. That's your top 3 right now. J Gardner running in the 4th spot, and Hernandez in 5th. Kansas winner Jack James has been rather quiet in the field today. Hasn't really talked much about his race car, but he said it's been rather tight. Hasn't really had much turning there. They've had a lot more understeer with the race car, so really Jack James has kind of struggled with the car a bit there. Hasn't really been too happy with his 42 car. The 1 car out of the race, it really hasn't helped them. And you see some contact there. I think I saw some sparks fly there between the 78 and the 4, as here they come, the rest of the field coming in, the next cycle of leaders coming in, Young, Johnson, and the others here, but it's now William Duncan's lead here at Dubai with 2 laps to go. He's got a solid gap over J Emery. Then you got 3rd place car way far back, Zachary Fitzwater. There in the picture, he's been starting, like I said, started dead last in the grid here. He is up to 3rd. J Finguy P4. Jeremy Jones, I believe, will be now in the 5th position because of this. So Stuart Haas trying to get some good runs in for the 14 and the 14. Cody Llamas now up to the top 10 now because of this cycle. With Tommy Turbo, Schwallenberg, James, and Rodriguez with no back end to his race car. Eric Rodriguez has put on a heck of a comeback there after getting involved in the lap 1 accident. Jack James also got collected in the lap 1 accident as well, so we have to remember that case, that the 42 had some damage. So really, there's been some good comeback stories here in the Doublemint Cup Series today at Dubai, as Mike Hawk still holding up Tommy Turbo. Dylan Schwallenberg's going to try and pounce on the 95 here for position, and he does. A great opportunity to pass. Good job by Dylan Schwallenberg. Jack James is going to try and follow on suit here. At the battle for position here will be on, but for William Duncan, the white flag is out. 1 more lap to go here at Dubai. J Emery sitting in 2nd, Fitzwater 3rd. Richard Petty Motorsports running 2nd and 3rd in the race here today. Good runs for them. Jeremy Jones will be short on gas. He will not make it to the flag, so that's going to be a tough break for the 4 team. But that puts Jeffrey Finguy up to 4th there. Llamas up to P5. He's going to get a top 5 run at this effort here. Dylan Schwallenberg in 6th. Jack James 7th here. Turbo 8th. Rodriguez 9th. And Dylan Young. There he is in the top 10. As Richard Johnson now trying to take the spot away from Ian Dutta. This is for the 11th spot. This could be good for the 21 team as well as the 2. But for William Duncan, he's got about a 5-second gap over J Emery. It's a rather far distance for William Duncan here. He starts up rather high in the points, didn't start too well in the grid here, didn't have the best qualifying effort for Roush Fenway. But into this long straightaway they go, and into the right-hander for the final time. William Duncan, here they come, he's gonna brake, he better not wheel hop that car, because that's one way to choke it, but into the final corner, William Duncan driving for Roush Fenway Racing in his first season. He's going to take the checkered flag and win his first race. He makes it on the fuel here. Great call by the crew chief of the 6 as Emery gets second. Here comes J Fitzwater, probably going to be driver of the race there. He will get third. J Finguy fourth there. They cross the line. A lot of the road course ringers actually finishing well today. And Llamas holds on for fifth. Schwallenberg sixth. James 7 Turbo 8th, Rodriguez 9th, and Dylan Young will round out your top 10 here. A fantastic run for William Duncan here today. Talk about a great fuel call for the 6 team as well as that top 9. They all went on the same cycle, and it paid off for them at the end. Congratulations to William Duncan on the victory here. You guys will be able to look at the results here. Unfortunately, it's delayed due to the DX story kind of messing up on me, so I had to re-record this. So, congratulations to William Duncan here. As we'll take a look at the results.